Welcome to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton, and welcome to another Opposition View show, where we are looking ahead to our next game, which is an away game at West Ham United. And with that in mind, we welcome back the Scottish Hammer himself, Geo Mackie from Hammer's Chat. Welcome back, Geo. It's the second time you've been on, so how have you been since we last spoke?
I've been well, but my team hasn't been. I wasn't very confident for going to Goodison Park. If you remember, we were awful. And the worst thing is, that's not been our worst display this season. There's been worse ones. So it's not been very good for West Ham at the minute. But obviously, new manager, new era. But is it? Is it
It's not a new
really?
manager of sorts, though. He's been here before.
Yeah, it's sort of like. I mean, I got deja vu in our last game and played Sheffield United as well. And his first game we beat Bournemouth, but I tried to sort of ignore it a bit because Bournemouth are just awful at the minute, and I
They are
thought I'd
awful.
fancy most teams to beat Bournemouth. Then we won in the cup, and with respect to Gillingham, it is a League One team, so you're trying again, trying to ignore it a little bit. Then we played Sheffield United. I thought, right, here's a test, and it was working for a little bit. It was working until we made an error in defence and went a goal down. But then it felt like we had tactics to get a draw and went a goal down, and we were still playing with the tactics to get a draw.
Well,
Um,
that's David Moyes.
yeah, and then I just
That's
had
the
it all.
negative side of Moyes.
It just came flooding back. His first tenure here, and why I didn't really like him when he was first here. You were looking at it, thinking, well, change it. 5 minutes went past, 10 minutes went past, just sitting watching it again. Change it, and he eventually does, but it's just a bit too
I
little,
can
too late.
you're evoking memories now of like me when I was about 11 or 12 watching Everton as a kid when Moyes was manager and screaming those kind of things at the game.
Yeah, it's frustrating, but I'm trying to give him like a fresh start because he's got a better squad than last time. I do think he's got a better squad. When he came in
Yeah,
last
I'd
time,
say
it,
so.
it, it was very fragmented when he came in. There was a lot of issues. Um,
There was a lot of
there's
rubbish players, if I'm not
yeah,
mistaken.
yeah, it was very mismatched, and I think this squad, while some people have doubts, I do maintain we've got a good team there, particularly the first 11. I do think it's a good first 11. I think it's a bit more balanced, perhaps in depth we're lacking, but we're in the transfer window, so now's the time to address it, or you would think. But I do think he's got a better squad to work with. He's got, a £45 million striker, £45 million, well, 38 million pound winger to work with. So he's got good players there. So if he can get the best out of him, I think we'll be all right. But the question is, can he get the best out of him? I'm a bit nervous.
Well, that was the big question that we were going to start with. The return of David Moyes has raised a couple of eyebrows in our quarters, obviously, as an ex-manager of ours. Our fans were very opposed to giving Moyes a second spell here when he was linked with us before we hired Ancelotti. Ultimately, you ended up giving him a second chance. Are you happy with that appointment?
Not me personally. I think because I didn't enjoy him when he's here. The problem is we're in a different situation to what you were, because Ferguson got you a few points. So when Ancelotti came in, the ship was starting to steady a little bit, and I think with us it was different. The ship was had a great big gaping hole in it. So we were looking for a different type of manager. Or you're looking for a manager to progress. The manager we're looking for is just to keep us up, plain and simple, really. And Moyes done it the first time, so I guess the thing is he could probably do it a second time. So I get why they brought him in. It's just for me, it's just you guys nicknamed him Dithering Dave, and you can relate it to so many ways. There's substitutions, there's in-game tactics, there's him in the transfer market. He's just
Does everything slowly, doesn't he?
yeah, he's like a sloth, and we don't need that right now. We need something a bit more. So for me, no, I'm not overly happy with it. But even if you ignore the David Moyes as David Moyes, even if you look at the situation, we told our manager 18 months ago, you're not good enough. We want to move in a different direction. Off you go. And 18 months
You
later,
come
we've come
crawling
back and
back.
said, "Do you want to come back?" And it just shows what we are, where we are as a football club. Um, and the worst thing for me is that when Pellegrini was here for about a month, and it was well known for a month we were looking for a new manager, even though he was here, a bit like you guys probably were with Silva. You were in the background, you were trying to sound out managers who would take the job if we sacked him. We were doing the same with Pellegrini, and what's a bit of a concern is after a month, top of the list was David Moyes. And I think to our chairman, what does that say about you? Manager Ancelotti wouldn't want to work with him. We sounded him out. He didn't want to come to us. And there's other managers as well of better caliber. They just don't want to come to West Ham. They don't want to work for Dave
Well, the thing
Sullivan.
is, Manuel Pellegrini was a big name and he did. So what's changed there? Because obviously I think we had this discussion, didn't we, on the last show where you said Marco Silva isn't a good enough manager for Everton. Pellegrini's a good manager for West Ham, but it seems to have flipped on its head in that respect. But also, what's changed at West Ham that makes you not as much of an attraction for a high quality manager?
The chairman, they've not got a great reputation, have they, for their not just their background before football, but now within football. The way they went about sort of getting rid of Pellegrini was sad to see a little bit. It was almost like every time we played a game, if we didn't win, it was a case of Operation Undermine the Manager came out, and it's just not good to witness as a fan. The blame game's getting put about and it's getting thrown at Pellegrini and Huselos, who was our director of football, but he's Pellegrini's mate at the end of the day. And they were very much, he was getting blamed initially, then it was the Pellegrini thing, and it's just a mess. And there's a protest on Saturday prior to our game against you.
That means you'll probably win then.
Well, there's a protest outside the ground and stuff, so it shouldn't interfere with the match in theory. But it just goes to show where we are, because when Moyes was last year, we had that protest against Burnley when people ran on the pitch and everybody congregated under the director's board. That. Here we are. We're back to this same point again. We're just going round in circles, and it's not a very good circle.
It sounds like a painfully similar situation to what we've had. Of course, this time 2 years ago, we sacked Ronald Koeman, we sacked Marco Silva. The only difference being we've brought Ancelotti in instead of Allardyce, which is the big change. And I think it doesn't get much different than that. And I'm hoping this is the start of us maybe getting a grip, because it's been such a long time of this club being run horrifically. I mean, you guys probably understand what we're going through as much as anyone, because it sounds like a painfully similar sort of scenario going on at West Ham.
Yeah, it's not great. I mean, Canon Brady, if any of you Everton fans want an example, Canon Brady was on Sky News last night, being interviewed about being the 18th richest club in the world. And the stuff that just comes out of her mouth is unbelievable. It's just spin, misleading, mistruths, and to an extent blatant lies about the stuff. But the thing is, the neutral fan won't really know. They won't have enough knowledge about West Ham in order to know she's lying. So they just have to accept it. But West Ham fans can see through it from a million miles away now.
Well, you've had this for about a decade now, haven't you, with Canon Brady as the CEO? So you've probably learned what kind of sound bites she comes out with. Obviously, we've had a lot of this over the years as well. So you do start to see through the lies and the smoke screens.
It's just, but the thing is, it doesn't stop. It just keeps going on and on and on and on. And they take us for mugs, but the problem is we're hooked, aren't we? Football's a drug. We're all addicted. You're addicted to Everton.
The fans can't get enough of it,
yeah. No, exactly. So they prey on loyalty. They prey on loyalty. If it was much more of a consumer basis, football would be a very different game, and West Ham would probably be out of business, to be honest with you.
I think Everton would be joining you on the scrap heap in that respect. I think we're run pretty poorly. I mean, we had our AGM last night, so like the shareholders meeting, and it all seemed pretty rosy in the sense of like the new stadium being paid for and things like that. So things are moving forward in that respect, but the transfer side of things still needs to be patched up. I mean, we're hoping Ancelotti's the man to maybe grab the ball by the horns in that respect, because previous managers haven't done that. And the director of football came in for a bit of scrutiny, Marcel Brands, who has generally brought in the better players that we've got at the moment. But a member of our board wanted him booted off the board because his transfer history, he said, was an unmitigated failure, which is very harsh. He brought in the likes of Richarlison, Bernard, who are better players. But I think he's going solely off the basis of this transfer window we've just had last summer, where some of the signings haven't really clicked.
But you need to give them time, though, because
exactly
our director of football just got sacked as well. Because he was Pellegrini's mate, so we don't have a director. He got the boot at the same time. But prior to that, it was very much the board. I don't know if you've got the same, but our board have their favourite West Ham websites where they happily send an email and they'll publish an article sort of defending the board, if you like, putting a hidden message out there. It was very much blame Huselos, and also Pablo Fornals is a waste of money. 25 million, look at him. Well, a month later, Fornals is our most important player because he's finally settled in. But they just didn't have any patience with the guy. And a director of football should be judged, in my opinion, from a transfer window a year ago, because then that gives the player enough time to get in, get settled in, like the manager have a look at him and work out where to put him in that. I don't think you should judge a director of football from the summer that's just passed. I think it's too short term. The director of football should be long term. He should be there with a vision for what's going to happen in 3 years' time. And if you're going to give him 6 months to prove himself, it's just not going to work at all. I think you guys have made some astute signings. I think even in the summer, I think you made 1 or 2 solid ones. I think Sabidi's a really good, clever loan. He's on loan, but I think he's a clever loanee. I think you've done all right. I think Delph was a good signing. I know he's not hit the ground running for you. I don't think he has. I think he's done okay, but that's it.
He's become pretty unpopular since the derby the other week. He had an argument on social media with a fan.
But he cares. He cares. I think I would much rather see a bit of fire from one of my players that was a bit, I am giving 100%, rather than someone that just ignores the fans, ignores everybody, and just carries on putting out crappy performances. I think it shows Delph cares, actually, from an outside. It's easier to look from a neutral perspective. I'm not involved in it emotionally or anything like that, so I can see it different to how you would. And I just think he cares, mate. I don't think it's a bad thing.
I'll be honest, I think that's the good thing about these shows that we do, is that we do get to see maybe a more objective view of our team, because obviously we're sucked into the emotion of our respective teams. It's nice to get that sort of neutral standpoint and see what the rest of the football community is generally perceiving of your club.
Yeah, I mean, I think you were a bit of a shambles at the start of the season. Looking at it, I thought, but when I came on with the preview with you, I kept saying to you, you were quite downbeat. I kept saying to you, you've got damn good players there. You've got some good players. I think you are a good team. You just need someone to mould it. You've maybe got that manager now, and I don't think you need much in the January transfer window. It's hard to get value in the transfer window. It is because
there's no value in the transfer window in January.
I think, again, from a neutral perspective, I think you're safe now. I think you've pulled yourself far enough away from the relegation zone. You've got enough about you. I think you'll be fine this season. I'd almost be saying to Ancelotti, get a plan together for the summer. Work out what you want.
That's what it will be now, I'd like to think. I think it's a similar position we're in now, maybe, to hopefully what Brendan Rodgers was in when he took over at Leicester a year ago, and maybe has a bit of time to sort of mould the team in his sort of vision.
Anything Ancelotti does in this window will be semi-rash. It will be semi-rash. He'll be going on a few weeks with the players. And I don't think that's fair on the players. I don't think it's fair on Ancelotti. I don't think it's fair on the fan base either. I think the best thing for Ancelotti to be doing, in my opinion, would be to just take the season, try different players, because I look at your team every week and you're changing your right midfielder quite often as well. You've played a couple of different. You've gone to 3 at the back for a couple of games and stuff. That's good to see. It's good to see Ancelotti trying things out. Holgate's come in, and I've been impressed by what I've seen by him and stuff.
He's been quite good this year.
It is good to see what you're working out, and I think slowly by slowly, if Ancelotti can work out which players fit his jigsaw and then what parts he needs to go purchase in the summer, I think with the right players coming in, I think you'll be good next season. Bernard's nailed that left midfield spot. He spoke about Richarlison being a striker, which is good. I've never been a fan of Calvin Lewin, as you know, but I've been impressed by him as well, actually. So your striker crisis has been solved without buying anyone.
Well, I think we need to start learning how to do that a little bit more, because we can't afford to keep throwing money at problems the way we have in the last sort of 3 or 4 years.
Yeah, I completely agree. I know you've got young. What's his first name? Is it Jonjo Kenny?
Jonjo Kenny, yeah.
I know he's doing well out in Bundesliga, and that's someone you can sell for a decent fee to bring in and such like. So it's shuffling the pack a little bit. I think your centre midfield needs a little bit of work. I know Gomez is out, which is unfortunate with that injury and that tackle. But
Jean-Philippe Baman's out as well, the defensive midfielder.
I forgot you had him, in all honesty.
Well, that's it. He only played the first 2 games of the season and got injured. So I think he's very much a forgotten man. I think he's only just come back to training this week. So
this is why you don't get any players in. Let him come in. Let him have a shot, because he's not had a chance yet. So give him a chance and see if he's got 5 months or something in order to impress, get his fitness. Yeah, just let him have a pop, because The last thing you want to do is go buy a centre midfielder in this window over the odds, and actually this guy comes back from injury and he's perfectly good.
And he's probably better
possibly.
than floppy back.
I think Everton can be calm this window because I think you've pulled yourself far enough away from relegation. You've got a little bit of something in that team. You've got a bit of grit about you now, probably installed by Ferguson, but Ancelotti's maintained it and it's still there. No, Ferguson, did he actually get a job as a morale coach or something? Is that actually true? Was it?
He's the assistant manager now.
Okay, so I thought it was going to be Ancelotti's son. No,
we have two, both of them.
Oh, okay. That's one way around.
It's always been the way for Ancelotti's way has always been to have his a member of his normal coaching staff and a member of on the staff who's always been associated with the club he managed. So, obviously Ferguson here, I think he had. Who did he have at Real Madrid? He had Zinedine Zidane before he took him over as the manager. At Bayern Munich, he had somebody at PSG, he had Makaleli, he always had a player who was closely associated with the club. He had Baresi at AC Milan, and you can go back as far as you like. He always seems to have someone who gets the club alongside him.
Yeah, I know Ferguson was still involved. I didn't know in what capacity. So maybe the Ferguson effect still within the squad. I watched a game on Saturday against Brighton, and it was the first time I've seen you for a couple of weeks. I think you were on TV a lot under Ferguson, and you sort of come off TV a bit. But I was impressed by what I saw. I think there's you had a couple of scary moments, but that's acceptable. It's part and parcel of Premier League football, unless you are Liverpool. And
don't go there.
Yeah, you're just gonna have to put up with that, unfortunately. But I think you can just remain calm between now and the end of the season and start to form a long-term plan. You've got one with the stadium, so it's about time you had one on the football pitch as well. And I don't think splashing cash in January is the way to do that.
Definitely not. And I think from your perspective, of course, you guys did dip into the transfer window today. You brought in Darren Randolph, and he looks likely to be the goalkeeper who will play against us this weekend. What was the thinking behind that? I think you've been proven very much right from the previous show when you said you were very sceptical about Roberto.
I was bang on about him. He was awful, weren't he? He did all right at Goodison Park. He was slightly at fault for the first goal, but then after that, he just got worse and worse and worse until he actually punched it in the back of the net from a corner. But the warning signs were there. They were just ignored. And with Randolph, when he was first with us, I always thought he wasn't good enough to be number one, but he was too good to sit on the bench, if that makes sense. So I thought the move to Borough was the right move for him, because he needed to be playing first team football, but I don't think he was good enough to be a Premier League keeper. I think he's now, because of his age, he's 32 years old now, I think he can now accept being on the bench.
Backup goalkeeper.
Yeah. And Fabianski, he had a lengthy injury. He's come back for a few games. He's injured again. And that's a bit of a worry. That's got alarm bells going in my head. They say that he's only going to be out for a couple of weeks, but it's still scary because Fabianski is worth points to us. He really is an unbelievable goalkeeper. I always liked him at Swansea, but I never appreciated how good he was, because I do genuinely think he's one of the best in the league. After watching him week in, week out, that guy is just unreal.
It's mad because he was slated by Arsenal fans when he played there, but I thought he was brilliant for Swansea, and I thought he's been brilliant for you guys as well.
So we've got Randolph back, but this is where it gets funny though. Borough still owe us money. They owe us money for the Randolph deal, and they signed him off us for $8 million, and they also signed Ashley Fletcher from us. So apparently they owe us money for both of those players. And the deal is supposedly basically call it quits kind of thing. We'll take Randolph back.
That's a good move.
Yeah, but then this goes back to what people are getting frustrated with the board about. They're making on we've just signed this player, and that. Well, yeah, but only because it's convenient, only because. Do you know what I mean? It's misleading again. We've signed this goalkeeper for $4 million, but really it's not as straightforward as that because they owed us money. But he's homegrown. He counts as homegrown, which is a difficult thing these days in Premier League. You've got to watch your quota and whatever, and we're quite near our limit with non-homegrown players. So to get him in, it means we can get Randolph off the squad list, who is foreign. So it frees up that space so that if we want to get a loan in from overseas or something, we can do. I feel more comfortable going into the weekend with him, and it means Roberto's not even in the squad because David Martin should be fit for Saturday as well. So I'll be interested to see who he starts. I assume he'll start Randolph, otherwise what's the point of buying him? But as long as Roberto's nowhere near that squad, I'll be happy. We've now got four senior keepers now. Got more
Unthinkable,
keepers
isn't
than
it?
midfielders.
That's it. You've definitely got more keepers than we've got midfielders.
Yeah, yeah. But the thing is, Randall's a good keeper. He's a good solid keeper. He did well for Borough, so I'm happy with the purchase. It's just the stuff around it. It's just a bit, I don't know, funny. We've gone from director of football last month and in the summer to David Sullivan doing transfers again, and it's just not good because this is what happens. He goes through agents. We're stuck in the 90s almost with our transfers with Sullivan in charge. He rings up his preferred agents and said, "Who have you got? Who can you get us?" And then he goes and gets one of them, and it's just such a tunnel vision for purchasing players. And I'm just putting out a fact here. I'm not saying anything. You just can put your conspiracy theories together. But Randall's agent is Silk House, who owns a footballing agency, USM, which sponsors West Ham women's team, which is obviously run by Jack Sullivan, our chairman's son.
You say USM?
I think it's USM.
USM's the ones who sponsor us.
Yeah, but they also sponsor West Ham women as well. The shirts on the back of the shirts of West Ham women, and then the agent, the guy that owns it, is Randall's agent.
Now that's a very interesting bit of insight because USM is meant to be the company owned by Fahad Mashiri or co-owned by Fahad.
Maybe
Mashiri,
it's not. Maybe it's not USM. Maybe I've got the agency wrong. It might be a different agency, but it's a footballing agency. I think it's Silk House that runs it and stuff.
Well, you've got me intrigued anyway, so I'll have to do a bit of digging after this show.
Yeah, have a little look.
So anyway, we were talking about transfers. There's always seems to be very little to separate both our teams in the league over the last few years. But if you could add one Everton player to your current team, who would you take?
Richarlison.
I
think honestly I couldn't praise him enough last time I was on here, and I'm just going to repeat what I said. I think he's fantastic. I think he's one of the best players outside the top six. I think he's got everything. He's got pace. He's got power. He can head it. He can score with his feet. He's got a bit of aggression, which I quite like. It can be a bit too much aggression sometimes.
Yeah, he's a bit of a snarler at times.
But I would much rather have one of those in my team than someone that shirks tackles. I think he's just an unbelievable player. He can play left. He can play right. He can play up front. I just think he's brilliant. I think you've got a real player on your hands there. I wouldn't be surprised if in 2 years' time he's no longer at Everton. He's off at a bigger club playing in the Champions League. I really do think he's...
Where would you think he'd go, though?
I don't know, PSG or something. I don't know. It might not be an English...
I think that'd be the thing. I think we might consider selling him for the right price if he went abroad.
Well, every player's got a price. Every single player in the world's got a price. So you'd have to sell him. Unfortunately, even if Liverpool came knocking, if they offered 200 million, would you take it? Yeah. So now you do the deal. Let's talk about the price. I know they would never offer 200 million, but my point is, you would sell them if you had to.
I think the thing is, if someone offers stupid money like that, I think you'd take it regardless.
Yeah. I don't know what you'd be worth. 70 million, 80 million. I know you paid 50. It's just not a big jump in price, but you're now into like some of the biggest transfers ever to taking place. But I do think he's worth round about that.
I don't think he's far off the 100 mark come the end of...
I wouldn't be surprised, mate. I would not be surprised if that...
Nothing surprises me in the transfer market anymore, anyway.
No, he's top class. Sigurdsson's the player I've been really disappointed with this season for you, because I've been a big Sigurdsson fan. When he was at Swansea, when he went to yourselves, I was disappointed that we never got him. We all seem to compete for the same players we do. Yeah. So when you got Sigurdsson, not that we were ever in for him, but someone I would have liked. And I've been impressed with him up until this season, but I'm aware he's playing a role. It's not really his role playing centre midfield. He's been asked to do a lot of stuff, but I've watched games where the game just goes past him. The camera will zoom in on him, and I think, when has he been on the pitch? Where's he been? But on Saturday you had that goal disallowed where, with Calvin Lewin shouldering it, arming it, whatever. It's hard to tell. But Sigurdsson does a tackle in the middle of the pitch, which wins the ball and starts to attack up. And I thought, right, there you go. There's your centre midfield. But if I was Moyes, that's who I would be targeting on Saturday if he starts for you. I'd be trying to get everything through that bit of the pitch.
Well, that is the situation right now is obviously we're very short on numbers in the middle of the park. So if you can exploit that, then that might be your best shout at maybe dominating the game.
Yeah, I thought Holgate did okay there when he stepped in for a few games. And you obviously don't think so going by that phase, but I
Not
thought he did
really.
fine.
No, I thought he'd done all right, but he's not a centre mid. He should be playing at centre back if we
Yeah,
can
but
help it.
he broke up play. He put himself about. He's got a bit of aggression. You can tell he's Everton. You know, he absolutely puts his heart into every tackle. I see him do sometimes too much. But
I've said this a couple of times now. I think to people on these shows, I think Holgate's been our player of the season so far.
yeah, so I think if you put him in there, you know he'll give 100%, and I think that's the main thing. And back when you put him into your team, first of all, you were down at the bottom of the table, and when you're down there, that's who you want in your team. You don't want people tippy tappy. Yeah, you want someone that's just going to run through a brick wall. Someone that'll take a booking to get you the point or whatever. You know, you've seen the cup final, the Real Madrid Atletico Madrid final. That guy,
Fede Valverde, the tackle.
Holgate would do that. Holgate would wipe the guy out and take a red card for it.
Definitely, yeah.
But there's only so many players on every club in Premier League. There's only so many players in each team that would do it, and you could probably count them in one hand. But Holgate would certainly do it. Davies would do it for you. But after that, there's probably only one or two. So Holgate's he's good. He's a good player. Him.
So you've looked a lot into our team, but what about your team? What sort of lineup can we expect from West Ham this weekend?
3 at the back. It didn't really work against Sheffield United, but he's going to play it anyway.
Who are the 3?
He played Creswell left centre back, which is what he did in his first tenure here, and it works. Yeah. It works. He is able to come out at the back with the ball because he is good at crossing. He does get forward well. I think he plays quite well left centre back, despite being the most natural left back ever. He does all right. Ogbonna was in the middle, who's been our player of the year so far. He's been superb at the back. And then we had Balbuena on the right, who is good. Can be a bit shaky, but I think I really like him. But the big issue is our wing backs. Masuaku is fast, he's athletic, he's got a bit of tricks. But he could put about 20 crosses in and only one of them would be good. And when you're only putting 5 in a game, they can all be crap. So that's the problem, you know. So you might, on Saturday, he might whip in a really good one. Happy days. But there's a good chance the 2 before it and 2 after will be not very good. Then on the right, and this is where you're going to have a field day with Bernard, we've got to play Zabaleta. Fredericks is out for a few weeks, and Zabaleta's just... Listen, he's the most utter professional ever. I was speaking about the red card thing. Zabaleta would take a red card any day.
Definitely.
He's just too slow. He's too slow. Honestly, it's like you're watching him, and it's almost like you've got your TV in like slow motion or something. And it's not his fault.
You talk about Cresswell moving into centre-back. Why didn't Zabaleta do that?
Because we don't need him there.
True.
We don't have anyone to play right wing back. Fredericks is out. Johnson, our youngster, is out. We could play Antonio there, who's iffy for this game, but I'm not sure he will. I think he would stick with Zabaleta because managers like Moyes look at Zabaleta as the true professional, don't they? And that's who you want in your team. You want the guy that's just going to cause no disruption and stuff. But he's just too slow. When we played Sheffield United, anytime we went forward, we couldn't go down the right because if you put the ball 5 yards in front of him, the defender's got a 50-50 chance despite Zabaleta having a 5-yard head start. He's just too slow. It's not his fault. It's just a thing.
Just age just caught up on him, really.
Yeah, centre midfield will have Rice on there. Who plays alongside him? I don't know. You'd think Noble, but he was awful against Sheffield United. Really, really bad. One of the worst performances I've seen from him in years. So he should be dropped, but we've got no options. But
who else do you guys have in the middle?
He'll probably put Snodgrass in there.
Oh, yeah.
We're being linked with Joe Allen a lot. Which shows our transfer ambitions.
I'll be honest, considering he played for our rivals, I forgot he existed.
Yeah, well, so did we until we get linked with him. The other centre midfielder, we had Lanzini against Sheffield United. I don't think he'll play him. Fernal should have started against Sheffield United. He's been our best player. And Moyes put him on the bench for whatever reason and didn't bring him on until about the 83rd minute. I mean, but he's a funny player for Fernal's because You look at him and he doesn't look. He's not got much flicks or tricks. He's not running at players like Traore or Richarlison does. But he's a real grafter for a Spanish sort of crafty player like David Silva. He's not got the ability, but he's got that kind of stature about him. He's a real grafter. He will tackle. He will commit fouls. He creates a lot of our assists as well. He's an underrated player for Niles, I think. I know he costs 25 million, so he shouldn't be, but I don't think he's getting the credit he deserves. Then up front, we'll have Sebastian Aller and probably Felipe Anderson. They've both been impressive while not overly productive in Moyes' couple of games so far in the league. But like I said, Antonio should be back. He's a real powerhouse, big, strong. He calls it beast mode, and when he does go in beast mode, you just can't stop him. But where does Moyes put him? Because I don't think he can put him up front, because the two up front don't deserve to be dropped. So he might put him right wing back. But Slaven Bilic tried that when he was here, and Antonio does not want to play right wing back. So you almost get a bit of a petulant, childlike attitude from him, as if say, well, I'm not running back because I don't want to play here. I want to be up front. I want to be right wing, whatever. But we don't have a right wing.
That'd be a real issue if you abandon the left wing. It's probably our best area.
If you can get Lucas Dean forward and get Bernard out there, I think you'll have a field day coming down our right-hand side. Just forget coming down our left. You can. They're not great defensively, Masuaku. He's not brilliant, but you'll be missing a massive opportunity. We've got Zabaleta, right wing back. Just come down there constantly. You'll have a field day.
So there you go. What do you think's going to happen then? Score prediction?
I'm really torn over this one. I really am, because I don't even know what to say, because I think Moyes is going to get us set up. I think he's going to be resilient. I think we're going to come out looking not to concede. But this is a massive game for us, This is huge, because after we play you, if we don't win, there's a good chance we can find ourselves in the bottom three at the end of the weekend. And our next games are Leicester away. We've got Liverpool twice, got Man City away. We do have Brighton at home in there as well, but we've got real tough fixtures coming up. And I'm looking at the fixture list thinking Everton and Brighton at home, that's it. Like, the rest are lost. We have to win. I think not only is it a big game for the league, it's a big game for the owners, because there is a protest before the game. It's between 1 and 2. It's outside the ground. It's in the Olympic Stadium Park, but a little bit away from the ground. It's difficult to say how many people will turn up, but I do think there'll be thousands, but nothing. I don't think it'll be 10,000. If I had to make a prediction, I would say maybe 3,000 people will turn up. And the group behind it are very much saying, when you get in the ground, support the team, support David Moyes, you leave the protest at the turnstile. Not everyone's going to do that, though. They're going to go in full of adrenaline, aren't they? There's been protesting for an hour. A lot of people say that we are not West Ham anymore. West Ham died when we moved. And a lot of those people will be at the protest. And they might be going to the game. And they might not have been to a game for 2 years or something, because a lot of our hardcore fans now use that, because I do think they are the hardcore fans. But they've walked away. They've not renewed their season tickets. They said, until that lot have sold up and gone, I ain't coming back. I think they might be at the protest. They might come to the game. And if they do, and we go behind and we're playing crap, I wouldn't be surprised if there's maybe bored out songs, or if they go congregating behind the board again. I hope not.
Alternatively, though, if you go ahead,
yeah, the place will be rocking. I think
the hardcore fans are there. It might be a better atmosphere.
Yeah, they might get up for it. I mean, the days where I come away from that ground thinking, well, that was a good atmosphere, I can count on one hand. And I'm not talking about per season. I'm talking about since we moved in 2016. It's not a good stadium. I don't enjoy it. I'm used to it now, so I've stopped complaining a little bit. But it's very quiet. I know most stadiums are now in terms of the home section and that, but it is a quiet place. If you come out, neutralise us, keep the ball for 10 minutes, the place, you'll be able to hear a pin drop. All you'll hear is Everton fans singing. You got a goal up. If you do hear us, we'll probably be singing anti-board songs or something, because the club's a bit of a mess at the minute. As for the game, I think Moyes will set up defensively. Don't concede. We can't lose. I think you've got enough about you. I'll give you two predictions. If Zabaleta starts right wing back, I say we lose. I say we'll lose 1-0. if we don't play Zabaleta there, or we change formation or something. Zabaleta right back's not bad because he didn't have to get forward. He just has to stay defensive. That's okay. I can cope with that. It's when he's got to do the whole line himself, I've got an issue. So if Zabaleta doesn't start right wing back, I say we'll win 1-0.
I'm going to go right down the middle. I think it'll be a draw myself. I mean, like I say, we don't really do too many 2 wins on the bounce. It's not something we do very often, so...
You've got a good opportunity here. You've got a good chance.
I'm going to go with 1-1.
I don't think it'll be... I agree there's not going to be much goals in this, I don't think. Moyes won't allow it.
Moyes never allowed it. We know that more than anyone.
Yeah.
We had 11 years of it.
Well, we've had 6 months and we've got another 18 months of it coming.
Oh, yeah. Well, there you go. We always end with a light-hearted question anyway. We'll have to lift the mood a little bit after that. We already asked what your favourite film on this show, but this time we're going to ask you, pineapple on pizza, yes or no?
No chance. No chance. You don't eat pineapple on pizza, do you?
I do indeed.
Oh, Christ. Oh, Christ. I hope we win even more now. Sorry. Justice for pizza.
I'm not sure whether maybe it's a Scottish thing, no pineapple on a pizza. I don't know.
No, it's just no fruit, full stop. Pizza
No
just no fruit.
What about deep fried Mars bars on a pizza?
Yes, see, that's culture. You know, that's creativity.
That's culture right there.
It's creativity. That's creativity.
I was talking to people in work today about Bucky bombs, Joe. It's like a Jaeger bomb, but it's Buckfast with iron brew.
I've never had that myself. I've heard of it. I've never had it. I think that's a Glasgow thing, and I'm not from Glasgow, so. Do you know how, I always say, do you know how England and Liverpool got a thing? Probably shouldn't say on this channel, but do you know how you've got like an England thing and a Liverpool thing going on?
Like a very, like sort of at odds with each other.
Yeah, so it's sort of like up here, it's not as bad as that, but Glasgow are their own little city up here. They're their own little city.
I can see where you're coming from in that respect. I've been to Edinburgh and Glasgow, and they are very different places.
Different.
But there you have it. No pineapple on a pizza. That's one apiece on the pineapple on pizza tally. But that's all we got time for today. We've got plenty to look ahead to. None more so than the game on Saturday, 3:00 kickoff at the Olympic Stadium, London Stadium, whatever you want to call it. And as always, guys, give this video a like, a comment, and a subscribe. Check out Hammer's chat as well if you want to see more of Geo. And all that's left to say is thanks for joining me again, Geo.
That's no problem. It's a pleasure. Anytime.
Fantastic. And of course, thank you guys all for tuning in on the Toffee Blues.